All right, fellas, welcome to today's episode of the Midmap podcast. It's Friday again, and I have to apologize. It was my fault. We are a little bit late. I had a phone call that took a little longer than I expected, but here we are today. I think we got plenty of stuff to talk about. Last week, when we were live, we had the Mint on Monday, and we got Yvette on the call, and she a bit about her art. If
If you guys have missed that, you can definitely go and re-listen to the episode. But yeah, what's up this week? Jason, let me hear you first. Are you good, man?
Yeah, man, I'm good. Just hanging around for the last 20 minutes, man. So it sounds like you were pretty busy this morning.
Yeah, definitely. It was a pretty rough morning. I just keep getting phone calls. I just have to turn off my because I keep getting phone calls and I get like kicked out of X. So give me a second.
Yeah,
Hmm.
you keep cutting. Maybe is that your phone ringing when that happens?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome,
Um,
awesome. It's like Brady popped in, man. How are you?
let's see. All right, let me just.
Are you still there, Alex? Are you working on your phone, bud? Looks like you're muting and unmuting. Does that mean you're rugging on us, man? Are you good or no?
I hope I'm good, man. I just try to like use my headphones, but I probably have to go without them today, not working. So yeah, I think we are good now. So let's just keep going. Yeah, as I mentioned, we had a great mint at the beginning of the week. But besides that, we had a lot of stuff happening in the crypto markets that we can talk about. And I think you may want to drop some alpha as well. I saw that you like kind of gave a glance of what is actually planned for the Goodfellas project in the near future. And yeah, let's just go through that. Have you like watched the crypto markets like the last week?
Yeah, I was watching pretty heavily, man. I was looking for entry points and, watching people lose their minds during the chaos, of course. So there was actually quite a bit happening. We had this massive pullback, of course, that resulted in some great buying opportunities. So I ended up dropping some money into the market. And of course, with crypto, everything moves so quickly that all of those positions are in the money now. And so I was just thinking about that and, hoping that people were able to control their psychology long enough to actually buy these dips and take advantage of some of these gains because, these markets with the volatility, I mean, that's really the opportunity. And seeing that that was the case was something that I wasn't confident that I would see again before the next run up, because everything follows or tends to follow Bitcoin for the most part. But yeah, it's been great, man. It was a good time. I'm happy for those positions, and hopefully other people were able to capitalize as well. How about you? Did you do any buys during the dips?
Yeah, I was actually pretty lucky to almost like catch the bottom. I think Bitcoin was down to 49, and I bought at like 51. Um, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, with all the stuff you read right now, like there is a recession coming, and then there is also like good news for Bitcoin. Like Michael Saylor has been like announcing a lot of his buys basically, and then I think Donald Trump said that we're what did he say? I actually quoted it somewhere. We are about to shake up the crypto world with something huge. So he announced that 2 days ago, and I feel like it's pretty difficult to predict where we go now because we've seen people keep saying like, hey, this is basically a sideways movement. But if you look at the range, like of the Bitcoin price for the past couple of weeks, basically between 49 and 70K, do you feel like we can still consider this like a sideways movement?
I think for the most part, we are experiencing a consolidation and at the same time dealing with global fears. And obviously, the world continues to get smaller and smaller as more and more people connect via, even if it's loosely connected online. At least information sharing is happening so much quicker. So I think a lot of it is when bad news or good news strikes. If you have the ability to move quickly, you move quickly. But if you don't, you follow the crowd. And so I think that's basically the trend that I see right now in terms of price movements. And you see this in NFTs drastically. Someone, like I don't know if you followed along, but um, DeGods, one of the old school Solana projects, had a big run up this past weekend, I think it was, or late this last week. And of course, no one knows why, but everyone wanted to buy. And this is this is kind of the interesting thing that's always happening here. People buy first and then generally do their research later, or they'll sell first and then do their research later. In the case of the crashes, right? They'll figure out why things are moving later. And so it's been really interesting to watch. Normally, the sideways movement, I think, tends to be a little less volatile. But to be honest with you, it has been pretty calm for the most part. We've had maybe two buying opportunities since the halving, like two major buying opportunities since the halving. And I feel like right now, once this consolidation period is over, we're going to start seeing the banana zone, start to appear on the charts, and that generally happens later in the year. So like we're not looking for anything major until like November-ish, December-ish, and then of course with it being an election year, with there being Fed banking cycles, interest rates, um, economic troubles, where potentially the Fed's going to meet and have an emergency meeting and potentially drop rates depending on what the economy looks like. Japan was talking about doing that. Like, there's all these things happening in the marketplace that could push the volatility one way or another. These are opportunities as far as I'm concerned. The broader story for crypto hasn't changed, and as long as that's the case, Michael Saylor's right. Like, you want to accumulate as much as you can, and if you have an opportunity to accumulate at a discount, so much the better. That's what you want to be. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it right now. I don't really care about the price action in the short run. I'm looking at the greater theme.
Yeah, you actually mentioned DE gods, and I wanted to ask you anyway because I've also seen that there was a lot of noise around that project on X, and usually I was actually used to read a lot of negative stuff about them. People were basically like yeah, talking bad about Frank and telling him like he's leaving everything like behind, and it's not like supporting the projects anymore. And then I saw something like they created some kind of token gated Telegram channel, I think. Have you already joined that?
No, I haven't. I honestly, I didn't even jump into the Discord. I'm holding 3D gods right now that I bought when they were on ETH, and I converted. I sold one for a profit, and then I just sat on the other three, and I've just been sitting on them and sitting on them, and just kind of waiting and watching. I don't think Frank is stupid enough to actually, you know, kill his own project, although sometimes it looks that way. And I think he toy with people in terms of creating situations where they think they're going to be in a bad way and then releasing something big. So I mean, I've heard rumors of like new airdrops. The female DeGods haven't been dropped. I think that's going to be something that they have in their back pocket. I mean, they own a basketball team now. So I mean, I don't really think they're going anywhere. It's just a matter of, do you want to be a part of the social club? We kind of talked about this earlier with NFTs and like, what are you actually buying? And in most cases, it's access. you know, if you're not an artwork collector, it's mostly just access, right? At least right now, in terms of the way things are structured, because UI isn't to the place yet where mass adoption is really feasible. So as you and I talk about business cases, business use cases, and how we can use NFTs for real world asset tokenization, like UI is being built right now that's going to support that. And at some point, there's going to be a place where the UI is so good and the wallets are basically invisible that you could go and teach, someone how to sell a crypto product to a business. That's really where, value outside of the artwork or the IP. Like, our whole thing is making sure that our holders have their IP. So I guess technically they're not holders, they're owners, and that they can use that IP any way that they see fit, right? And so I feel like until the UI catches up with some of the technology, it's going to be very difficult to go into a business or go into an organization and start selling them on a particular process. And like, here's how you can, RWA this particular product or service or this membership. For example, we've talked a lot about memberships and ticket sales and stuff like this. I mean, NFTs are perfect for that. But the truth is, like, the best thing blockchain does is provenance. When you think about it, like, the highest and best use of blockchain is provenance. So if I can create a beautiful piece of artwork and I can put it in the hands of someone, and that provenance is always tracked wallet to wallet to wallet forever from now until the end of time, and it's date stamped, that's really where the value comes into play, because now you can replace entire industries. So, and until, like, I talked to a local music company, which I think I mentioned previously, and they don't really get it, like, they don't really understand it yet. But like, until we can present it in a way where they understand that basically copyright and trademark law here in the States or in other developed countries is basically going to go away because it's unnecessary, these technologies are going to, like, really have to focus on building a base of people who are willing to support a long range plan. And so fortunately, that's where we find ourselves in, actively building a community of people who actually care for the artwork and for what we're doing. But until the rest of the crypto market catches up to that and stops just throwing anything and everything at the wall, hoping that something sticks, you're going to have these massive fluctuations for, like, random reasons, like, oh, we have a token gated Telegram channel. Okay, who cares? Like, what real difference does that make to me in my life, right? Like, not much, right? So, I mean, I think the DeGods holders, in my very long-winded, ridiculously long-winded response, is just they were looking for any positive news, and I think basically in a market where rumor sort of rules the day, that was, one of the impetus that actually pushed those floor prices up a little bit. But it also just gave life to the project, right? It showed the holders that that the team was still working on some things. So, we'll see where that goes, but that's kind of my take on that. How about you?
Yeah, first of all, I agree on everything you said regarding the opportunities of tokenization, and that we've always preached that it's like the best use is actually chain of custody. But when I look at the big projects, if it's like the eGods who just opened that token gated Telegram account, and I think MATLabs did the same right after. I mean, you mentioned it already, like they have a basketball team, but how does that actually serve the community, the holders? What do they have from that? And the same with like the Mad Lads. When you check, like, the main product they have is, I think, that backpack wallet, if I'm right. But how does that actually help the community? Like, do you know? I'd love to know, and if someone can explain me, I'd be happy to know.
I mean, I can give you a bit of a take. Um, and before I do that, I just want to say hello to Brady. I know some of you guys picked up on the language I was dropping in Discord around some of the things that we might be doing in the future. And Brady, if you can speak, I'd be happy to have you come up, brother. And we'll talk a little bit about what's happening in the world of Cosmos. But yeah, I mean, to get back to the point, let me see if I can. My brain's quasi working. It was late last night. What was what was the question again? Remind me again.
I've been talking about like the utilities of the big projects, like the basketball team and the backpack wallet and stuff like that. How does that sort of hold us?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I totally fell off the train, man. Late night last night. Um, yeah, so here's the like here's my sort of um traditional investor looks at crypto market hot take. You know, like if you look at the traditional markets, the way that they're structured is like if you have a big idea, let's say you're the guys who, want to create the next, well, everybody wants to create the next Uber. Like that was the thing in the traditional markets, right? The next Uber. And what you do is you basically present your idea, you present some sort of, like watered down version of the software or of the service, and you present it to a group of investors and you say, hey, here's what we're building. And yeah, it's not fully formed, and yeah, it's an idea, and yeah, we don't really have anything completed yet, and yeah, we don't know if it's, commercially viable, but we think, right? And then those people take a look at your idea and they say, okay, well, I'm going to either back that or not back that. And so you pull in all this money, and now all of a sudden you have raised the funds that you need to actually complete the idea and make it real. And then from there, assuming that the investors in this particular case, like did their diligence and you have a good team and you execute well and you overcome all the legalities and the government nonsense that you have to jump through to get your thing to work, then assuming all those things come to fruition, then you end up with a business. And then assuming you can sell the product or service, you end up with a cash flow business that then ultimately pays the investors back, right? And that's how that works. And so in the NFT market, what I've seen is people sort of mirror this, thinking that NFTs are like buying stock. And it's not really the same thing. These are these are very different things. And when you're looking at like the market as a whole, when you're looking at the anonymity that exists in the market, you don't have any real recourse if the thing that you think you're investing in decides to screw you. Like you're not really there, in their backyard, so to speak, with the ability to do anything to actually correct the sort of mistake or correct, maybe you've been sort of lied to in a legal sense. There's really no recourse. In the traditional market, that's not the case. So what I see is like a lot of people jumped on the bandwagon and then use this idea of like a raise. We're gonna do a raise, and then we're gonna take these funds and we're gonna build out this thing. And we're gonna use these funds to pay our team or what have you. And that's what like Mad Lads did with Backpack. They issued, in the broad sense of the word, they issued stock, and people either bought that stock or didn't, and then Mad Lads took that money and then continued to develop out the Backpack wallet, right? Now what that does for the holders, we've seen almost nothing, right? At one point, like if you bought into Mad Lads at, I don't know, close to 200 Sol. I mean, what are they today? Like 40 Sol, something like that. I mean, you see these massive reversals. And you see these where hype goes, money flows, but generally it slides downhill and looks much different at the bottom of the hill. And so this has been the model for anyone who's been willing to basically put themselves out there. And I think people don't understand the fact that when you're doing these buys, that you're buying, maybe you think you're buying a pretty piece of stock, right? And that can certainly be a viable use for NFTs. But until you have the ability to go through documentation and have recourse with those people who are claiming that they're going to do this on your behalf, you're really kind of putting your neck on the block, and just hoping that they don't drop the axe. Because if they do, you have no recourse, as we've mentioned a bunch of times. So I think until the mindset around what it looks like to participate in a business changes in the NFT world, then you sort of get this landscape of landslides, if you will, from prices going through the roof to them falling to the floor. But I think what's happening right now is that's changing a bit. I'm seeing more and more as I cruise the spaces, I'm hearing more and more people talk about, really looking for quality people, not just mint outs, right? Looking for people who really want to back what they're doing. Looking for like the longer game and the longer view. And this could just be because that's what I'm skewed to and I'm kind of tuned into that, right? So I've got some sort of confirmation bias. But at the end of the day, I feel like, you can only burn people so many times before they learn. And if we're looking at the traditional NFT market, what I see more than anything is I see the same group of people just go from project to project to project, right? The degens just flow from project to project to project, but the collectors actually stay and hang out, and they do great things in those communities, and they share the artwork, and they have a good experience, and they add to their collection. And so those mindsets are kind of in conflict right now. And we're at this place right now where the NFT market specifically is sort of looks like it's making a decision on which way it wants to go. And so, I'm proud and I'm thankful and I'm grateful that we've chosen to be on the side of long-term builders and on the side that is doing its level best to provide real value and to use blockchain for its highest and best. So, I mean, where we go from here is really up to what the buyers and the market participants decide. And two, it also is where we go from here is also greatly dependent on who we onboard. And I feel like, we've talked about this before, like when we're putting out information, Twitter can't just be, or X can't just be where we drop information. We need to completely create and build out a source online where people can come and grab information and get educated from the traditional world so that they can come into our universe and our spaces and understand, basically the overview of the history and where it's going, but also how to avoid, some of the pitfalls that we all, if you've been on this call, you've been rugged probably many times that we've all kind of been through. And, this is one of the great things that we have an opportunity to do in terms of education. So with our spaces, we've started doing that. Obviously, the podcast gets dropped on YouTube, but you and I know good and well we're going into video at some point. We're going to be doing much deeper dives into all this stuff and continuing to look and build for the long term. So yeah, man, super long-winded today. I guess my brain, the part of my brain that tells me to shut up is still asleep. So sorry about that.
It's all good, man. It's all good. Well, I think it was pretty much on point what you said. I totally agree um, with like the traditional markets that you mentioned, like people or Mad Lads actually performs as some kind of traditional market project, like collecting money, inventing a product, and providing it for the community. But I mean, you've said it, NFT people usually want some kind of instant value from what they hold. They want something better back right now, and that is usually not how things work out, especially if they are supposed to be sustainable. But yeah, you said you feel like there is a shift. I'm not so sure about that because it still feels like very much of a challenge to find these people that we have been looking for so desperately for the past year. Yeah, fortunately we found some, but yeah, still looking for the good old collectors. And yeah, I've seen we got Brady on here, Jason. I think you've talked to him already. So Brady, let us know what's going on in the cosmos.
Hey guys, I didn't mean to crash it or anything. I just wanted to listen to see what was up with you. But happy to say hi. Yeah, I'm with Stargaze. So it's a layer one blockchain with a primary focus on NFTs. And yeah, I'm just kind of stopping by to say hello. I hope you're having a good one.
Yeah, definitely. Happy to see you on here. I mean, when I heard that you and Jason were basically talking about like I'm not sure. Maybe I'll let Jason drop the news to the community because we haven't really talked about that yet. But what I just wanted to say is I actually did some research on Stargaze, and I gotta be honest, like I haven't really seen a lot from that before now. But when I checked the marketplace, I saw that there was like surprisingly much volume going on. I haven't really expected that, and I actually love the art, like a lot of the art that is on Stargaze, and I'm definitely loving to dive deeper into that, and yeah, look forward to that. But handing the word now to Jason, maybe he wants to like give a glance of what you guys planned.
Yeah, sure. I mean, and welcome, Brady. You're not crashing anything, brother. Appreciate you stopping by. Yeah, so Brady and I jumped on a call. Was it yesterday, I believe? When you don't sleep, all the days kind of run together. um, but yeah, we jumped on a call yesterday, and we started talking a little bit about potentially doing something on Stargaze with the Goodfellas IP. And I think Stargaze is doing a fantastic job of outreach. And after speaking to Brady and one other individual, I can tell you that they're making serious inroads to actually onboard quality artists and artwork. And I think that's one of the reasons that when you do look at that marketplace, that you're seeing good things, Alex. And so I was really ignorant of what's happening on Stargaze as well. In fact, Maria, who like STC is on here. What's up? And Brady, I'm sure all know Maria. She's dropped on that chain quite a bit, and so she sort of recommended that we submit for a grant and participate in what's happening on Stargaze. And at first, I didn't think anything of it because hey, like I need to be on another chain, right? Like who has time for that, right? But then I started looking closer at it, and I went ahead and submitted the forms and information. And then Brady reached out via message, and we just started chatting. And so it looks like there is an opportunity for us to take advantage of a grant that we will then use to actually help promote and market what we're going to do on Stargaze, and by virtue of doing that, also promote Stargaze and what they're doing there. And so maybe Brady, since you have more of a finger on the pulse of what's happening there, maybe you could tell us a little bit about how the grant program works, and give us a little bit of insight on what you really want to build with Stargaze, if you don't mind. And we can, I guess, release the fact that we're going to be releasing a small collection on Stargaze next month. So that said, I'll turn it over to Brady.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I hope I didn't force you to announce that by appearing if you guys weren't planning to today. But it's pretty cool. With the grant, so what we were able to do is Stargaze took a grant from AA DAO. So the Cosmos ecosystem is all these independent chains that are kind of run by different teams. Stargaze uses like the stars token. It's an independent team. We were able to get a grant from Atom, which is the Cosmos hub, to incentivize like some new artists from other platforms to come over, and that's exciting for us to be able to get that grant and be able to use it. So we fielded applications over July and reviewed them, and we really liked the one from Goodfellas. Really like the kind of the focus that you guys have on like IP provenance, small collections, like supporting individual high quality art, that kind of thing. It's very refreshing. It's very close to like my personal like ideals and kind of focus in this space. So I was very excited to see it. Yeah, as far as like Stargaze goes, it has a really good, a very active community of users, of like real users that you see on socials and kind of driving the activity on chain. I think a lot of chains, the activity is often driven by I don't want to say like not real users, but it doesn't translate into that like verifiable kind of community aspect. But for me, I think I really see that on Stargaze. Like there's people here like STC, Chris Mullins as well. And yeah, and for us as like a team, it's an open marketplace on Stargaze. So it's like permissionless to launch. And so, there's all kinds of stuff on it, right? But the team focus is very much to be highlighting good, interesting stuff that's, produced by individual artists or by teams that have like a good track record or good vision and so on. And so there's both like the kind of open launches, and then we do these kind of features where we try to highlight these. And the reason for that is that, like, there's the question of, like, let's say just kind of basic volume, from a platform perspective. But something that's often overlooked is the basic sense of what kind of value is brought by the quality of the art itself when it's deployed on the platform. Just having stuff that is beautiful, that is created and carried forward by communities and people that have like some integrity, I guess I'd say. That kind of adds so much to the platform that may not necessarily be reflected in basic volume by, like, I think what you were talking about, people just kind of throwing out stuff and trading it, right? And so that's really our focus. And there's a lot of really cool creators currently on the platform. I'm just reviewing right now something on testnet for an artist called Sebi, who's been around kind of since the beginning, and he's a cool Austrian artist. So I'm really excited about that, and I really like the approach that you guys take. So yeah, I'm really stoked that you'll be coming over.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, we're pretty excited as well. When I told Alex about what we were speaking about, I think he was a little bit, wasn't really certain, wasn't really sure if it's something that we should put energy in. And then I think his mind has been shifted after doing a little bit of research on that. But one thing that I just want to highlight that I was listening to I heard as I was listening to you speak was just the focus on quality that seems to be lacking in so many chains. One of the reasons that I was open to doing this was because I felt like, or at least I got the vibe that quality mattered more than quantity, at least in the eyes of the people that I had spoken to. And for me, I feel like this is where there is a massive opportunity in NFTs, which will ultimately result in a massive opportunity in real world asset tokenization. Because at the end of the day, like, if we're just throwing out junk or, computer generated, randomized, layered crap, just perpetually throwing stuff at the wall, hoping to see something stick. When it comes time to actually tie these to creators or tie these to businesses that want to use them as tokens, when it comes time to next level these things, I think a lot of that stuff falls away and gets lost in the melee of consolidation. And on some level, we have to realize as creators and collectors that quality matters more than anything else that we do. And so in talking to Brady and in doing a little bit of research on Stargaze, what I've seen is there is a level of artwork and a level of quality there that I've not seen on a lot of younger chains. So I just wanted to throw a nod your way in appreciation of that. I really appreciate what you guys are building over there. Alex, I'll toss it to you.
Oh, if I could just add really quickly, sorry. And also myself, and you spoke to Stardy. Both of us started originally as creators on the platform before joining the team. So we kind of have like that perspective, and like really try to kind of maintain that focus and those values,
Yeah, that's amazing, man. I'm curious now that we sort of opened this little box here of ideas. I'm curious where you see blockchain going in terms of. I may have a theory. I have an idea that ultimately, I stated this earlier. I believe that blockchain basically replaces copyright law, royalties tracking in the traditional sense. It replaces a lot of provenance-based service businesses. And I'm just curious what you see there as adoption continues. I'd be interested to know your thoughts on that.
I can say one thing that's like near term for us and specific on provenance is that, like, the thing about what the technology that Stargaze is built on is that it's very interoperable. And so we're going to be moving over the next year to, very like seamlessly moving collections from other chains to Stargaze. And we've had that, with kind of some of the more closer chains that are also in the Cosmos ecosystem, like Osmosis, for example. And that's something where there's a collection called Mad Scientists, which was launched on it and then moved to Stargaze. And we have the provenance, displayed on those NFTs. So, both that they're trading on Stargaze, you can see the history of them passing between wallets, but also, the original chain that they came from. And so near term, I think it's going to be about, at least from like my perspective and like what we're focused on, is that providing like a port kind of marketplace where you can have that provenance maintained and displayed from other chains. It is like very early, not speculating on like the future of this as something that replaces like our copyright systems as a whole. But it is like a major focus. It was funny, there was like discussion about how to display that on the site, because some people are like, what is provenance? Like, maybe we should use a different term because people don't understand it. Or like, no, it's like the whole point of it is provenance, right? So yeah, that's kind of my answer. But that's, just very like close, I guess. But that's kind of what we're working on and thinking about right now.
That's amazing, brother. Yeah, I mean, it's funny that you mentioned that. We talk a lot about terms, and I think it just points to the fact that there's a lot of people in the marketplace who maybe aren't familiar with how traditional art markets work, or even, as I was speaking earlier, how traditional business markets or investment markets work. And there's a lot of ways, of course, to take advantage of people because of that, and we've seen that in various places by many different creators. But to know that there's allies in the marketplace, like doing their level best to emphasize, where something comes from matters, and tracking the provenance matters, and understanding what that means matters, especially if your focus is on IP rights, because ultimately, if you're, like in our ecosystem, when we onboard a collection, we're guaranteeing IP rights. That means that because Alex and I are not anonymous, that literally people could come after us if for any reason the IP that they held was called into question. So we have to make sure that all our I's are dotted and T's are crossed. And so we have 3 public collections that we've onboarded, and a 4th that we're going to, that has been unannounced as of yet. But on all of those collections, we have to make sure that we have documentation on those. And so I think moving that process on chain is certainly a massive opportunity in the marketplace. And if you've followed the media markets at all, whether it's radio, television, any of the broadcasting systems, a lot of times when they're tracking royalties, this usage generally ends up in a database, and the creators are oftentimes paid for usage, sometimes up to 6 months or longer after the usage of their particular creation has aired. And so I see a lot of opportunity in terms of blockchains being able to make that immediate. And if you're a creator, why wouldn't you want it to be immediate, right? So obviously there's a massive amount of legacy investment in the old way. And it is true what you said, like we're very, very early in the process. And so, we keep harping on this, like your main job right now, if you're in the world of blockchain or looking at crypto, one of your main jobs is just not to get shaken out of the market when things get crazy, because adoption is literally at its infancy at present.
There's a collection that launched that we featured recently on Stargaze. It's called like Mechs of the Cosmos, and it was all created by one guy. He did it all in Blender, and then they're nice like PNGs that he put together. But he released it under CC0, and his whole thing is like related to this discussion, using NFTs, and maybe I can quote him here. Because of royalties and cultural capital with NFTs alongside the provenance, able to track it, the relationship that you have with wallet holders, you're able to kind of throw away other copyright or IP norms. Yeah, that's a really interesting project that I just wanted to shout out, because I really like Heath. That guy can speak to this much better than me, but allowing people to release things under revision like that, and he's done a bunch of stuff. Like he posted, free access to the STL files for his project so that people could like 3D print them, go ahead and do it if they want, that sort of thing. I think allowing these other methods of building your IP is really interesting, and ultimately like allows for kind of more creativity. Yeah.
I love that, man. I haven't heard of this project. Maybe if you have a free moment and you're able, maybe you can connect us. It'd be really interesting to maybe have a conversation with him, and I don't know, maybe have him on the Spaces or something to just pick his brain.
Yeah, I'd love to introduce you. He's a really, really nice guy, and speaks very clearly. I'll connect you.
Beautiful, man. I appreciate that. Alex, what's going on, man? Did you fall asleep over there?
No, man. I'm listening to you guys. It was actually very exciting to listen to your conversation. And while doing that, I was actually checking out the top collections on Stargaze, like the mad scientists that were just mentioned, and the mechs of the Cosmos as well. I see they're still minting. So if any one of you guys wants to check that out, just go onto stargaze.zone. Yeah, but a lot of interesting stuff. I'll definitely dive deep into what you guys are doing, and I would love that once Jason and I manage to finalize all the thoughts about the collection that we want to create, and like when things get closer, I'd love to have you, Brian, again on a space right before we will release that collection. That would be great. I'd love that. And yeah, Jason, I think yeah, we can maybe what I wanted to add for today's space is to all the soul rockers out there. I think I mentioned it on the Discord already that I will be distributing the AU this weekend. So everyone who sent in some IROC will get their AU this weekend. So check out your wallets. And I think we are through with the topics for today. Do you have anything else, Jason?
No, man, I'm all set. And yeah, just want to apologize for getting a late start today, guys. I know we're about 20 minutes late, and sometimes that happens. But I appreciate everyone being here. It's good to see everyone, and I'm happy to open the floor if anyone wants to speak up, say hi, or just voice an opinion. Actually, I'll ask a question while you guys are thinking about that. We were kicking around the idea of what to go with on Stargaze. And, obviously we have multiple collections that we can pick from and unify. And one of the ideas was that we could do something with female form. We've got an entire female form version of our collection that is on ice waiting to be used. And so if you guys are curious or interested in maybe having an opinion on whether we drop males, females, or some combination of the two, throw us a comment, let us know, jump in Discord, drop us a message there if that's more convenient for you. But I'd be curious to know what you guys would prefer to see. And yeah, that's kind of it for me. So I just want to say thank you to everyone for being here. And Brady, I appreciate you dropping by, man. It's always good. You're always welcome. Love to pick your brain some more as well and continue to learn what's going on in Stargaze and get a greater handle on that. So that's it for me, guys. I'll turn it back over to you, Alex.
Yeah, I can just repeat what you said. Sorry for being late today. It was actually my fault. Thank you, Brady, for being here today. It was great having you. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And let's definitely have the discussion on Discord, and let involve people in the deciding process of what we're going to publish on Stargaze. So that would be great. So thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope to see you guys next week again, and have a great night or day, depending on where you are. Bye-bye.